Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 84 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we're coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We have another great, I'm not sure if organization is the right, or maybe program. What's the right description of it?
We're actually a nonprofit.
Okay, thank you. So we're highlighting Safe Kids Gaston County this week. We have Jackie Quinley and Jim Landis with us today. Jackie is a detective with the Gastonia Police Department, and Jim is an inspector with the Gastonia Fire Department. Jackie and Jim, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So as usual, we're going to get right to it. So maybe, Jackie, start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, anything you'd like to share for the good of the podcast.
Okay, well, I've been with the Gastonia Police Department for 18 years. I'm currently their recruiter, training officer. I have a lot of hats.
Gotcha.
Negotiator. I make the joke that I'm a Jackie of all trades because I just do a little bit of everything in that process. And in that, I'm also the co-coordinator with Jim of Safe Kids Gaston County.
All right, so we have a connection. I'm not going to let go.
Okay, go for it.
So you're, how would I say this? Maybe questioning your judgment with your other half of your...
Yes, my husband's an F3.
Yeah. And what is his name?
Mayor.
So yeah, we have the Mrs. Mayor here, so to speak,
Yes.
today, which as most of us, he married well up in his life. So sorry I couldn't let that go, Jackie.
You're fine.
Jim, what about you?
I am a fire inspector and public information person for the Gastonia Fire Department. I've been here about 18 years, and I've been with Safe Kids probably about 16 or 17 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. Very good. So I appreciate you again sharing a little bit of background there. So this kind of question is for both of you. Just, I bet a lot of people have heard of Safe Kids Gaston County or Safe Kids in general. I mean, I did a little research and saw it's a much bigger, broader, organization, worldwide, so to speak, or I guess, or at least nationwide. So can you just tell us about the organization? What is it? How did it maybe get started here? What's the mission? And then we'll get into some more details.
Safe Kids is a worldwide organization. It's injury prevention for children up to about 18 years of age.
Okay.
Anything from car seat safety to taking back medicine to bicycle safety. We do a lot of different things, gun lock safety, keeping the kids away from the guns. It started here in 2000?
I think we said 2000.
2000, the Gaston County Fire Marshal's Office, Eric Hendricks brought it on board. I got on board with it after I started here around 2006, 2007, and we have been going strong since then. This coalition has grown a lot over the last 10 or 15 years. It's grown a lot. We have encompassed a lot of other children's advocacies here in the county. There's the health department. There's
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
a lot of them we're involved with.
So, as he said, it is a worldwide organization. We are a local chapter. We are fortunate in North Carolina that we have a really strong state chapter through the Office of State Fire Marshals. So we get a lot of support from them. But we are the local chapter here in Gaston County, and we serve Gaston County. And we also partner with neighboring counties. Lincoln County has one, Cleveland County has one, Charlotte has one. So I think there's 45 or 47 coalitions in the state. And
Yeah, I
so,
saw a big list on the
yeah,
when I
so we
went to the
cover a
website.
large part of the state, and we all interact with each other. It's not like I go to Cleveland County, I'll go to Lincoln County if they need help. I go to Charlotte if they need help. So it's really a big family that's really surrounded about helping kids and helping parents and preventing injuries. So our focus is injury prevention. So the most important thing that people don't realize is the number one thing that's either the death of a child or the injury of a child. It's not cancer. It's not, that's the most common one we hear is cancer. It's not asphyxiation. It's unintentional injuries. So unintentional injuries is the number one injury and the number one killer of children. Yeah. So what we are trying to do is prevent that any way we can.
For example, we were just found out last week that there was the first child has died in a hot car. Was left alone in a hot car. Was in Alabama, February 27th. That's the kind of thing we try to educate parents.
You
about
wouldn't
that.
you wouldn't think that would happen in February either, but the Deep South,
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
Yeah, that's to me. That's about the worst thing I can imagine is having 3 children myself, and I can't even fathom that type of thing.
And that's kind of how I got involved. I had my child in 2011, and we had some car seat techs at the police department. That's one of our things. That's a big thing that we do is car seat education. And so I had one of them teach me how to install my car seat, and I was like, oh, I want to learn how to do this. So I was fortunate enough that the PD said, yeah, we'll let you go to that training. So I went to the training, and as a parent, it just made so much sense to me. And I was like, every parent needs to know this. I was like, it just grabbed me, and it says, oh, this makes sense. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and it's complicated.
Yeah.
And so I started with that class, and that class introduced me to Jim and introduced me to Safe Kids, and it's been
Well, I'll tell you, I have to admit, I distinctly remember 1999 when our son was born, and then my wife and I are leaving the hospital, and we're like, now what? We're
Yeah.
responsible for this
Right.
person.
Yes, yeah.
And I think we got the car seat in right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it was
I
one of
can
those
talk.
carriers. I'm like, I have no idea. Now we got to take this little thing home, and oh my gracious! So it is. That's a life changer in a heartbeat. And listen, and there's probably not a good guidebook for every hazard that you're going to face, right?
No, and so it's important. I love car seats. I even have my husband trained. He'll be driving in Charlotte and take pictures.
Maybe he
of
should be in a car seat.
Pictures of like an unnamed child that's not
Poor
properly
Andrew.
restrained. Like, he knows. And so I love seeing the parents, and like they're just kind of they relax. They get the aha. Okay, it makes sense to me. That's one less thing they have to
Sure.
worry about. And it's not easy. About 80% of car seats are installed incorrectly.
It was it was about 92%.
Yeah, it was about
last time.
90.
And there's so
and-
much to do with it, though.
Yeah, there's so much. Every car seat manufacturer is different. Every car manufacturer is different. And it's just like trying to put this puzzle together. And if you don't know how a car works and you don't know how a car seat works, it's hard to fit them together.
It's not just the car seat in right. Is the child in the seat right? Is he
Yeah.
harnessed in the seat, or is she harnessed in the seat right? There's more. They face in
There's
the
a
right
lot.
direction. There's a lot.
Especially, I mean, we're in a world where everybody's in a hurry too, right?
Yeah. Everyone's distracted. Everyone's in a hurry. And so we encourage parents just to start it young, because if you start young, then they know what they're supposed to do. The kids can anticipate it. You're not changing something when they're 3. So you start it when they're young, and the kids expect it, and they know how to do it.
So before we move on, I got to give one shout out. Jim mentioned Eric Hendricks, who is another F3 brother of mine and Andrew's, or mayor, and he's also a team member here at GSM now. He's our safety director, and if I had known the connection, I would have got him in here today. So shout out there to you, Eric. Good work on helping get this started. So you've already mentioned one, obviously, initiatives. I like that phrase, and I'm sure there's lots of things you're involved with. You mentioned car seats already, which is obviously, that seems obvious. That's a big one, right?
Yes.
It is.
Because it's such a wide, that young parents and knowing type of car seats, when did they change, front facing, rear facing, all that. I remember all that, not knowing when you should do this. And of course, this was, that's for me, it's 24 years ago, right? So kind of can maybe expand on that, or just what are some of the other initiatives that Safe Kids Gaston County is involved with, some of the things you guys are doing?
Well, we mentioned the hot
Hot
cars, and trying to get parents not to leave their kids in a car.
So we do some fun stuff with that. We have a thermometer that we can borrow from the state, and it shows what the temperature is outside and what the temperature is in a car, and we actually cook s'mores in a car.
Put it on the tray,
So
put it on the
it's
dash.
I don't doubt
more
it, yeah.
dangerous than you think, and so we'll literally cook s'mores on the dash of a
We're
car.
all about dad puns around here.
Yeah.
a good
So,
one.
and it would be amazing. We set up at Walmart West. I guess it was during COVID or something. And I think the temperature of the car got to like
130?
No, it was 160.
Yeah.
And it was like 90 degrees outside.
Well, being what we do, we are very familiar with radiant heat from glass.
yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
And same thing with attics that we work in all the time. It's the exact
Yes,
same thing.
it's very hot.
It's that radiant heat that is just that people just don't. I shouldn't say people don't. It's hard to grasp that concept.
Right. And so even
It was
when
for
it's
me anyway.
70 degrees outside, I think it can raise like 10 degrees every 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So even when it's like mild outside, it's still, you get that radiant heat. So we had a save several years ago, a mother and daughter, but we just encourage people that if they see something, they see a child left in the car and it's not running or unattended,
Call 911.
call 911.
Parents, we found out that they generally leave their kids in the car for one or two reasons. They come home from the grocery store and there's one parent there, the child's asleep in the back. They go take the groceries in. I'm going to leave them in here for a few minutes, take the groceries in. And somebody calls them on the phone. They completely
distracted.
forget it. I had listened to an attorney out of Texas one time that the child died. He said he hardly ever took the child to daycare. His wife always took it. His wife had to go into work early. He put the child in the car, went back in and got his coffee, and then he got in his mindset and went to work. His wife called at lunch.
That automatic drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's actually unintentional. It's
Very
like you said,
sure.
change of behavior, change of schedule, that kind of stuff. Or it's leaving your car unlocked in the driveway and the kids outside playing and they accidentally lock themselves
Get in the car.
and they get
Locked
in the car.
Wow.
So a lot of it is not intentional. Very rare is it ever intentional. It's a change of schedule that makes
Sure.
something like that happen.
Something different.
All right.
So we have lots of initiatives. So we can just roll on,
You know,
right?
I mean, listen,
So-
we only have like 8 hours allotted, but no, we do want to hear.
Yeah.
Talk about as many as you
Yeah,
can.
so I touched on car seats. I'll
Naomi
touch on that
will.
real
She'll
quick.
ring the bell if we get out of hand
Okay,
on time.
so
Operation Medicine Drop.
yeah, well, car seats, we do car seat checks the last Wednesday of every month during the spring and fall
Oh, okay, that's good. to know.
at Once Upon a Child
On East Franklin.
on East Franklin from 10 to 2. So we do that, and the Gastonia Police Department is a permanent checking station, so you can call and schedule an appointment. And it's education. We're not going to install your car seat for you. We're going to teach you how to do it because you're going to have to take it out at some point, and you need to know how to put it back in. You can't always schedule an appointment to go put it in. So we're going to teach you how to do it. So that's the important thing is we're not just teaching you something. We're not just going to show you how to do something. We're going to teach you how to do it. So that's the important thing. Operation Medicine Drop we have.
Pill take backs, medicine take
Pill
backs.
Right.
takebacks, expired medicine. It can be dog medicine. it
can
can
be
be
any
over-the-counter
vitamins.
medicine.
Yeah, stuff that you
Vitamins.
just don't want to have
Yes,
sitting around a
you don't
house,
wanna
right?
have sitting
that
around.
kids can get access to.
Yeah, so we just got a grant from Safe Kids Worldwide. Keep it up and away. So your Tide Pod grant, the Tide Pods that you're thinking of, any type of medication, blinds,
The Tide Pod thing is kids think a lot of time it's
gummies.
candy. Yep, and they eat it.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so there's a whole initiative about that
Yeah.
to keep them away from kids. Why you should keep them locked up, keep them out of reach.
Yes. So we got some money for that, some grant money for that. And so what we do is we will go out, we'll educate mom groups. We're going to the health department here, I think this month, and we're educating a mom group. And we have a QR code. If you take the QR code, we will actually give you some cabinet locks and some door locks to keep the kids out. We encourage parents, if you're going, everyone's VBROing and Airbnb things now.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Bring those simple locks for stuff. Another thing we do with that is toilet paper rolls. If you have a toddler and maybe a newborn or a toddler and an older child, choking hazards. So if it can fit through the toilet paper roll, then you don't give it to a child. And so it's an easy game that you can play with kids.
I've never heard that before. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So a lot of our stuff is not standing up and us preaching to people. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of visual
Education.
stuff.
Practical things to do.
Visual, you know, everybody has toilet paper where they're at, right?
Yeah. We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. So it's like making sure those small toys don't fit through that toilet paper roll.
Oh, that's
You can do that with
interesting,
cousins, you know, when you have family over for Easter or whatever, just as something if you have a baby or a small child in the house. Hey, if it can fit through here, don't give it to them. In that, what do we have? Blinds, small toys, medication. To go with the medication, we do medication or candy, because just like the Tide Pods, your Benadryl might look like, what is it, Good and Plenty's? And so we have a display board that shows which one's candy and which one's medication.
And the parent recognize it.
Yeah, so the parents, especially for grandparents who don't generally have children around, and they have their pill boxes out that
Sure.
are brightly colored, and the kid's like, oh, look, there's candy in there. No, it's
No,
not candy. So just to put that stuff up and away from kids. Because I pulled some numbers, or we have a banner that we use. We used it during some of our Christmas parades we did this year. And so 1,500 calls came from poison control from Gaston County this year. It's a lot of phone calls for poison control.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does.
High percentage of kids.
And 40% of those were for children. So that's a lot of kids just accidentally ingesting something.
Wow.
So button batteries they ingest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
Oh
that,
yeah, the round,
little round ones.
Yep.
And what happens with those is when they go in their mouth, when they connect with water, so the moisture in their throat instantly releases the acids. So a lot of them have esophaguses that burn.
Wow.
That's what happens. It burns before it even gets to the stomach.
Yikes.
Yep. So they really want to.
So we're not here to scare parents. I'm like, oh my God,
Well,
this sounds so horrible. We are not
make
here
them
to
aware.
scare them. We just want to make them aware and conscious of what little hands can do.
Yeah. I mean, I just, as a parent who has, I'm not going to say I've raised 3 kids well. I've got 24. My kids are 24, 21, and 17 now. So, we've gone from, it's interesting too, when we've had friends bring over young kids now, especially really toddlers, we're not, baby proofed anymore or toddler proofed anymore. So even at ours, like, okay, don't grab that fork and stick it in the light socket. We used to have those little plugs, that
So those have changed too. Now they're bigger and they have holes in them because the little ones, when we were growing up, they actually could swallow them.
Oh,
so now they made them bigger and they put air holes in them, so if they do try to swallow them, it won't go down. They can still breathe.
Yeah, we have those.
We have those too.
Yeah,
we got all of those. Let's see some of our other stuff. You talked about you have teens, so we cover up to 18 years old. So we do buckle up challenges, where Chinese fire drill. You ever did those as a kid? Well, you do them, but you have to buckle, and it's like a race, but it gets them in that motion of always buckling. And we also do texting obstacle course.
Oh, yeah.
So that works. We can do that from when they're walking till they're 80 years old.
And I'll admit that's a
yeah.
When the kids started driving and
we
knew, and they had phones. Yeah, that was a big one. That's just terrifying.
Yeah,
spotting the kid behind the car.
Spot the tot. So the texting obstacle course is fun. We set up literally cones and put some obstacles, whether it's cones or pool noodles or dodgeballs, and we tell them to text a nursery rhyme, like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And so they're trying to text Mary Had a Little Lamb as they're trying to navigate these obstacles. And it kind of gets them to realize, okay, I can't do both things at once. So it works with, your middle schoolers. We even set up railroad crossings and yield signs. So middle schoolers, don't be texting and walking into the road. Your high schoolers or your teens, hey, don't be texting and driving.
Yeah.
Adults, don't be texting and driving. And then when you have the toddlers, you can show them what street signs mean, so they can realize, oh, that means there's a train there. Oh, that means mom and dad need to stop there. So it kind of teaches them a little bit of rules of the road kind of thing too. So we use that, and we can use it from a wide range of ages.
There is Spot the Tot, which is an initiative where parents actually back over their kids. It makes them look around the car before they pull out of the driveway. Mm-hmm. And then without cheating and using the camera, do you look over your shoulder to see how far back? So we'll have a rug mat that's got feet on it, and we'll put something back there. When they get in there, how far back does this have to be before you can see it over your shoulder? So you need to make sure you check around your car before you pull out of the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, just real quick, blinds, and am I right? You're assuming talking about the cords, right?
Yes.
Potential choking
Yes.
with cords. Okay.
Or make necklaces.
Yeah, right.
And they can do that with seatbelts if you have a 2-door car.
Well, I meant actually put
Yeah,
the cord around your neck.
strangulation.
Strangulation. I said choking, but I meant
Oh,
strangulation.
no, there's a little knobs on them
Yeah,
that come off.
yeah,
The wooden
yeah.
knobs come off, and strangulation. And that's also with seatbelts if you have a small 2-door car, which we had at one point, and I do this. And my little one reached up and grabbed the front passenger seatbelt. And she was in her car seat and could reach it and pulled it back. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I warn people about. And she did it, and I recognized it as soon as I heard that seatbelt roll, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's a front seat. It's not the seat next to her. I was like, oh my gosh.
For new drivers, I mean, is seatbelts, do y'all see that's still in 2023 still an issue that people don't wear seatbelts?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
just curious, because to me, it's become such an automatic thing.
Yeah,
And
click it
even-
or ticket. So as part of our funding does come from the Governor's Highway Safety Program, which the police departments do, and our police department has a great job with that. And so click it or ticket, still a real thing. Now it's higher rates than it was way back in then. I think we operate around 90% seatbelt use.
But you still see people in the news that got ejected from a car. You don't get ejected from a car if you're wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
And then we encourage parents, if you want your kid to buckle up, you better be buckling up too.
Right.
There's no excuse not to buckle up. Pregnant mothers, there's no excuse to buckle up. You're still safer. It's not going to interfere as long as it's low and tight across your hips.
And with the number of airbags in cars now.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in case, and on the texting thing, I kind of made the comment about teenager. You know what? When I'm driving around, I see more adults doing that, texting, than kids. Frankly, probably because I see more adults driving. But But
you don't even have to do that. Siri will do everything for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy.
Yeah. So let's see, what else do we got? Bike safety. Chad Owens.
Bike rodeos.
Yeah, Chad Owens at the county police department. He does a great job with them. I do them sometimes too. So bike rodeos, wearing helmets.
Hand signals for turning.
Hand signals for turning.
Is your helmet on properly?
Properly fitted helmets, yeah. And that is actually a hard thing with some of these kids. Having a helmet that fits. One that's like, parents will get one that's really big. Or especially with little girls, sometimes if they got braids or ponytails, it doesn't fit them right. So it's getting a proper fit. So we go through the hand signals with them. Yeah. We go like, hey, what's a good bike working order?
Is the bike the right size?
Is the bike the right size? And does your helmet fit? And we can do helmet fittings for kids. And we do give away some helmets at some of our rodeos if kids don't have them.
You know, my Rotary Club for years has done the a bike giveaway. COVID has messed that up. We haven't got back to that yet, but every year we had somebody, I don't know if it was from the county or from the city, come and do the safety for kids at one of the elementary schools. And I just thought it was good for a number of reasons. Obviously the safety, but also just the interaction with law enforcement, with 4th and 5th graders.
Yeah. So like I said, Chad's the superstar when it comes
to
that.
But he's an avid bike rider, too.
Yes, he is. He does that Road to Hope and stuff, so he's a big bike rider.
So, in other words, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do. And we have a lot of organizations. So Chad works for the county police, Belmont Police, Gaston County Head Start, Gaston College, Sheriff's Department.
Health Department,
Partnership for Children, YMCA. I know there's one I'm missing somewhere. We had 2 new ones come to our last meeting. So we are a 501c3, but we do not have any paid staff. All of our money goes straight to the initiative, and all of our volunteers and board members are from just child advocacy groups within the county.
Okay. So the question I'd like to ask is, with both, this is to either one of you, but in your time involved with Safe Kids Gaston County, is there an example that you can think of a success story or something that was avoided, or an anecdotal story maybe that you've had that you've seen a big impact somewhere? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, so we have, did yours get was yours a save last week?
Yes.
So we have both had car seat saves. So we've installed or showed a parent how to install a car seat, and they've been in an accident.
Oh, my.
And there was only minor injuries to the child because of it. So, and one was actually a friend of mine. So it was very close to home for me. But he just found out about one, last week or the week before?
One of the nurses at the hospital, we had a car seat check at Once Upon a Child last fall, and helped her put her 2 car seats in. In January, she was in a wreck on the interstate. Totaled the vehicle, and the child was uninjured. So she called me back to make sure I could help her put her back in. A new one, of course, a new seat.
Yeah.
Because she knew that may have had a big that was a big part of maybe the child not getting injured, right?
Right, and we don't hear about this a lot. We've put in a whole lot of seats over the years, and you rarely ever hear any feedback from something like this. But periodically, when you do find out about it, and it makes you feel good, like you're doing a good job.
Pre-COVID, I think we did close to 300 seats a year.
Okay,
so we do a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So what about, anything you can say you're most proud of accomplishing, or you've seen, or over the last, your time with Safe Kids Gaston County?
I would say that the coalition is doubled in size. I think the number of organizations that we have in the county that are involved is doubled in size. And I think the number of people that we've reached is grown immensely. And I think that's a big success.
And our big success last year was we finally got a diversion program.
Oh, yeah.
So Travis Page, our district attorney, he was great to work with. So diversion, from a law enforcement perspective, if you get a ticket for a car seat violation, you come to us, get the education, and we fill out a form, and we take it to the district attorney's. They take it to the district attorney's office, and they will dismiss it. So
at least once.
At least once. And if it's multiple times, But we have been working on that in Gaston County since 2013. So almost 10 years later, we got it enacted, and we are thrilled. Actually, our state partners are so thrilled. They're like, you guys you persisted. So it's a great program.
It's not in every county.
No, it's not in every county. It's very specific to each county. But granted, we don't have a lot of people coming, but it's new. But it's an option, and it gives us that one-on-one. They get out of the ticket. We spend a little extra time with them. It's probably about 30 to 40 minutes.
Show them how to put the seat in.
They show us how to put the seat in when we're done. Some little extra education about it. But they get their ticket dismissed, and they got some education, and that's all we want.
Yeah.
Because a ticket is just a change in behavior, so we just want that behavior to change.
All right, well, that's good.
It doesn't have to get the ticket in Gaston County. They can come from anywhere.
Okay, that's interesting.
But it has to go back to the county that it got written in.
It has to go back to the county, yeah.
Yeah, the county it got written in has to have a diversion program.
So looking ahead, guys, that classic question is 5 to 10 years or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that time frame. And what are there plans? How do y'all see the organization evolving or changing, or is it serving more kids? I mean, just kind of, how could you answer that?
I hope it keeps on the pace that it's doing, and we keep bringing in more organizations that deal with children, can help with injury prevention. The more people you get on board, the more people you reach.
Sure.
So I mean, the way we've grown since the mid 2000s is great, and I can see it keep going because there's so many organizations in the county that are advocates for children.
Yeah. So my thing is we're more concentrated in the Gastonia area.
Sure.
Bessemer City just joined us, and we're reaching out to Belmont. We're really starting to grab onto Belmont a little bit. And so I want us to be more encompassed in the small towns, in the more rural areas. I want us to reach that more. And speaking of Belmont, we are having our big event this year in Belmont. So we're really excited.
A few Saturdays down the road.
Yeah. Was it May 6th at the Point Church in Belmont on 74? We're having our Safe Kids Day. So all of our stuff that we talk about, car seats, hot cars, water safety, we didn't even cover that, but Candace at the YMCA does that for us. I don't know if we're going to have Spot. We might not have Spot the Tot. I didn't think I got that. But all of our stuff, TV tip-overs, medicine drop.
That's a thing.
Medicine or candy, any of that, we're going to have tables set up. We're going to have a partnership for children out there.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, we're going to have hot dogs and food. It's 100% free event, and it's 100% education.
Yeah, I think that's the timing is going to be just about right, isn't it? This will air before a week or two before that event. Yeah,
good.
We have 3 recorded now.
Yeah. So sometimes the timing of events coming up works out, and sometimes I don't remember what we did. It was one we recorded released the week after their big event, and I was like, ugh. But again, so that I just like to hear, I think listeners like to hear what's ahead for an organization and group like you guys. So, this is a question. Sometimes I skip this question because I hear so many things. You've already said so many reasons why Gaston County is better because Safe Kids is here. But I'm going to ask anyway. Maybe start with you, Jackie. Maybe in your own words. What would you say? Is again, this is a podcast about Gaston County, right? And why Gaston County is such a great place. So why would you say Gaston County is better because Safe Kids is here?
Well, my thing is, as a parent or a caregiver, it's just giving them confidence that they know they're doing the right thing. So I have 2 kids myself, so being confident that I'm doing the best I can for my child.
Don't you have 3 kids?
Yes.
The little boy's older than the rest of them.
Yes. I have 2 little girls and a 40-something-year-old middle schooler. But
this is wonderful. This is great.
I make a joke because they say all the middle school jokes around the house. So I was like, now I got 2 middle schoolers. But they love the corny dad joke stuff. But yeah, it's just being confident as a parent that you know you're doing the right thing and having that confidence as a parent instead of being nervous and running around like, oh, don't hit your head, don't do this, don't. Yes, kids can run, kids can play. They don't have to have a bubble around them.
Sure.
Just make, smart decisions when it comes to some of that.
Yeah, we're not talking about, the skint knee, right?
Yeah, no,
with Safe Kids, we're talking about the stuff that is several levels above that are long-term serious injuries or worse.
Yeah,
right?
Let your kids run, let them play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let them have fun. You don't have to run them around a bubble, but you can be confident making these small changes or knowing these small things that your kid's going to be safer in the end.
Absolutely. Jim, how would you answer that question?
I agree with Jackie. I think that it's better because, the number of people that you can educate and when that parent comes and mom comes and says, well, hey, my car seat was put in by my husband, but I don't think it was right. And, but I don't want him to know I'm here and to check it out. And then they look at you after you fix it. No, it's not exactly right. But when they say, that I feel better now that I got it checked. Just the little things that you can do that helps out a lot.
Yeah, well, that's a great. I mean, you already mentioned this, but yeah, I mean, how many brands of car seats? How many brands of car? I mean, gosh, trucks. I mean, just
they all have to fit together.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough for a parent to navigate, right? You make these assumptions that YouTube was right or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's get the professional. Let's let the professionals look at that. So I appreciate you answering that question because we do like to kind of focus on that, the positives here in Gaston County, and this sure qualifies for that. So before we move on, we're going to shift gears slightly, but is there anything I haven't asked that I should have asked? Before we finish, we'll make sure our listeners know how to find out more information, any events coming up, how maybe even, I don't know if y'all will ever have volunteers or need anything like that. Before we finish, we'll make sure. But anything else I haven't asked that you?
I totally forgot. He's a fireman. We do fire prevention.
Yeah, we do fire prevention.
So we totally forgot about that. Just finding a safe way out.
I'll find Jackie just dominating the conversation.
No. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like, we totally forgot.
And we have locks for the gun locks and stuff for the police departments. We do fire safety and things like that as well.
Okay, very good. All right, so this is we indulge some Gaston County questions specifically, and this is actually probably more importantly, what your family wants to know. And I'm interested to hear what we discussed before we started recording. I'm interested to hear how that goes, to get the comparisons here. And so I'm going to start with you, Jackie, on these very specific Gaston County questions because you've been around long enough here in Gaston County to answer these. And you too, Jim, even though you tried to get out of them before we even started recording. So, Jackie, what's your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
So mine is a chocolate peanut butter hot fudge sundae.
Chocolate peanut butter hot fudge sundae.
Yeah, they got the best hot fudge there.
That's a lot of words.
Yes.
Feel the calories.
Oh, I know.
Jim?
Never eaten at Tony's. That's honest.
Give me something.
Throw at
me. Thank you.
So do you have a favorite ice cream flavor in general?
Homemade ice cream, peach or strawberry.
Ooh, okay. That's a good choice. Sundrop or Cheerwine?
My mom grew up on Cheerwine. That's what we had in the house.
Very good. Jackie?
So I'm a Cheerwine person. I actually have a friend, my best friend in Boston, and she comes down here, and I have to, mail her Cheerwine.
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
Yeah, so Cheerwine.
That's funny. For years, I was a Sundrop. I mean, when I was much younger. And now if I do indulge occasionally, it would be Cheerwine for sure.
Yes.
Jackie, favorite local restaurant?
So I got two. Ray Nathan's, because their ribs are just amazing.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, then Tex-Mex Back Row Grill on Union Road.
Oh, yeah, down toward Forest View High School.
Yes,
yeah, very
love
good.
That place.
Jim?
Firestone, that grill. I used to do breakfast there all the time.
Oh, yeah, Firestone's great. Another, classic, long time Gaston County place. Jim, what about favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County or favorite park or something?
Been to Crowder's Mountain a few times for fire calls and help people. So we get to go up there some.
Yeah, Crowder's is great. Yeah.
So mine, I think, is the Common Ground at First United Methodist Church in
Stanley.
Stanley. They have that great path, and then there's a playground, and they got the walking track. So they just got a little bit for everybody in the family.
I've ran some out there with a few F3 guys. And the one Memorial 5K.
JJ's 5K.
Thank you.
I've done that before too.
I've done that a couple times as well. So yeah, that's a great location that I bet not many people know about too, right?
Yeah, it's a great location. I love it.
All right, Jack, I'm going to stick with you. This is the question that I ask just because it's my question and I have the mic. So UNC Duke or NC State?
So Jim and I can answer this together.
Yes.
You ready?
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3. App State.
Sure, Appalachian.
Well, I thought in my mind that might be, I think I can remember that from something. But listen, what's today? We're recording this on March 22nd, so less than 2 months. My middle daughter will be graduating from Appalachian.
Oh, see there.
So,
yeah, we're both graduates. So
we're very
I loved
good.
it so much I stayed up there.
Yeah,
good for you. No, that's great. No, we're very fond of not just App, but that whole area up there. So, Jim, what is something very few people know about you?
Safe Kids is not the only child advocacy group I'm with. I'm with the Firefighter Burned Children Fund.
Okay.
The Firefighters Burned Children Fund, we raise money for burned children or burned survivors. We buy things for the burn center in Chapel Hill as well as the one at Wake Forest Baptist in Winston-Salem. Most predominantly, you see these can trailers around in the county. There's 10 or 12 around, at different fire stations in different locations. The public can bring their cans to. We take the can, turn them in. We get money for them.
Okay.
When there's a burn survivor, especially some that are lower income, we'll try to help them out as far as giving them some funds to get gas and to go to the burn center to see their kids or get a room or something like that.
Oh, wow, that's good.
The burn centers frequently send out wish lists. They want shoes sometimes if they have a rash of children to get their feet burned. They'll swell, and they want different size shoes for the different kinds, gloves for their hands, different things like that.
Oh, that's terrific. Wow. Top that one, Jackie.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I guess something people don't know about me, I grew up in Connecticut and upstate New York, and I spent my summers with my father at Saratoga Racetrack, so betting the horses. And so I actually taught a nun one day how to read the racing form, and I was like, oh my God, I can't teach a nun how to bet. And they're like, no, it's okay, it's okay. So I've taught a nun to play the horses.
Now that is a first.
Yeah.
And probably the only time on Gaston's Great podcast that you will hear about a betting nun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did she have a drink afterwards?
No, she did not. No, I just had to teach her how to read it. I don't remember if she made any bets off of it, but I did teach her how to read it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just shut down the podcast after that. So that was good. So how about, Jackie, how about a book or something you might recommend to our listeners, a blog, an article, or something, that might be worthwhile for our listeners to know about?
So there's probably two books that are my favorite. One is from Brene Brown. She's a social scientist.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with
I
her?
am, yeah.
Her empathy video I play ad nauseum when I teach. But she has this one called Dare to Lead.
Yep, I've read it. It's terrific.
Yes, it is. I love it. And the other
really
one
good.
is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He's an FBI negotiator. I'm on the negotiator team. I teach mental health on the side for the police department. So it's all about active listening and negotiating and stuff. So that one, and that's not just law enforcement. He does it for a business, actually. It's like a business perspective. But
Yeah, I've never read that, but I've heard him on a couple podcasts that I followed. So, yeah, he's an interesting gentleman. So, Jim, how about you? Anything you could share?
I don't read a lot of books, but I would say this. A lot of things I do read are about some of these safety issues we have.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that if I have young kids, they should read about some of the reasons why the seats should be in certain ways and things like that they just don't do.
Okay. We're going to appreciate that. So, listen, I appreciate you indulging us on those Gaston County questions, and I expect a full report.
Okay, yeah.
If
we won the newlywed game.
That's right, yeah, the newlywed game with Mayor. So, again, this is a podcast about Gaston County and the positive things happening around Gaston County, which I think are many. And maybe, Jim, start with you on this question. So besides Safe Kids Gaston County, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
I think the positive attitude here, the people that are interactive, some of these organizations that we've got involved with, everybody's coming together, and it doesn't matter how big or small it is, they all put in a piece of the pie, and we all be able to work together successfully. Yeah. There's so many good things about the county and so many good organizations here.
A lot of collaboration, it seems like, especially the last 5 or 10 years. That seems to have changed a little bit.
It doesn't matter whether you're a police officer or firefighter, we still all get along and come together for one cause.
Yeah. Jackie, how would you answer that question?
I agree. It's also the people. We are a big county. There's a lot of people, but it's still a small town. You still go out and people everywhere you go, and people always say hey, and people are friendly. Yeah, it's very small townish for being
as big as it is.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of it's a good mix, right? And we're close enough to a lot of amenities elsewhere. If you really wanted to get to that bigger city across the river, which we don't discuss. If you wanted to go to the gateway to Gastonia, you could. So, Jack, I'll stick with you for this last question, which I really like. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self, which was, 1 or 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's right. I'd be don't sweat the small stuff. When, I go meet my maker and I'm standing in front of a God, he doesn't care about how many loads of laundry I did or how clean my house is or any of that. It's do not sweat that small stuff. That's not what's important.
Yeah,
the time you spend with people and how you impact people.
Impact. I love that word.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to say that. You said that's terrific. Really, really good answer. That might be a tough one to follow there, Jim. But how would you answer that about your 20-year-old self?
I would have probably gotten involved with this earlier
Okay.
in my life because I really got a lot of satisfaction out of it.
Yeah.
And some of these nonprofits, whether it's Safe Kids or the Firefighter Burn Children Fund, you can look back and you can feel like, at least in your heart, you did something positive by helping somebody else out.
Yeah, isn't that? I mean, I've been fortunate the last, what years is this? So I've been really heavily involved in community 24, 25 years now. And I hope I didn't go in selfishly, but man, since then, there is so much personal satisfaction from it. And you just, I didn't expect that, but, and you know what? And I've learned it's okay, right? It's okay to feel good about the things that you're involved with and good things are going on around us here, especially here with organizations like you guys are doing. So, God, this has really been good. So, obviously, the main point for us today is to bring recognition to you guys and the organization. So, where can our listeners go to learn more about Safe Kids Gaston County, or get involved, or just share anything and everything?
SafeKids.org is a good place to start.
Okay.
See if you have a local coalition where you live for the people that are outside of Gaston County.
Locally, our Facebook page.
Facebook,
just search
I saw that. Yep.
Safe Kids Gaston. We don't post incessantly, but we do respond quickly if you have questions. We post recalls too. If there's like child-related stuff that gets recalled, we'll post events, and we'll just post like little reminders, like
car seat checks.
Car seat checks, like I think it was change your clocks, change
your
your
batteries.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll change little reminders and stuff like that. So we'll just something just to keep in the back of your mind, and we don't overload people with posts.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you guys do. I just want a quick comment too. I was until about a year and a half ago, I guess, I was spent almost a little over 6 years on the City of Gastonia Police Foundation.
Yeah.
And so that's just something that's important to me and important to us here at GSM to support you guys, and we're greatly, we're grateful for the work that you guys do, not just with Safe Kids, but law enforcement, fire department, EMS, what those organizations and individuals involved with that on a day-to-day basis here, and not just in Gaston County, but everywhere. We would not be able to function and have the community that we have without that work. So I'm greatly appreciate you all you guys do, and we try to put our money where our mouth is on that kind of thing too, with some of the organizations we're involved with and we support.
Yeah, the foundation has been great at the police department. I can't complain because it gives us the opportunity to really interact with a lot of people and a lot of kids. I did the kids camp that y'all funded for several years in community policing. I guess we just got new bikes so we can do bike patrol. So it really helps us do those community engagement things that aren't quite in the budget.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate that. So before we close this episode out, any last words or anything you'd like to share before we close this one out?
Always looking for volunteers.
Okay.
At car seat checks, we need people to baby wrangle while we're talking to parents. Play with bubbles, play with sidewalk chalk. We got cars.
Organizations involved with children, contact us.
It's not rocket science. We can teach you how to talk to people. That's all you got to be able to do.
Maybe repeat. I know you mentioned it earlier, but you said the last Wednesday every month is a car seat check. And where is that?
It's at Once Upon a Child on East Franklin Boulevard.
Okay. Franklin Square.
Franklin Square.
Or Walmart.
Yep.
It's from 10 to 2. We generally run it, I think we're going to start in April, and we run until October, November, depending on the weather.
When it's cold again.
Oh, yeah.
Until it gets cold again. And you can make appointments at our police department to get your car seat checked. Those are normally at least a few days, maybe a week out, just because of the nature of our job. And then there's actually car seat checks all over the county. The county police has one. Head Start has some.
Okay.
Sheriff's Department has some.
Sheriff's Department. Belmont Police has some. So we have them out. It's just that's the only person. So you can call any of them and ask if that's where you live and that's closer to where you are.
It's usually by appointment.
Yeah, they'll reach out and help you the best they can.
Okay, very good. Again, we appreciate your time today and appreciate the work that you're doing. And as usual, I'm going to finish the episode off with my own book recommendation and my thought for the day. And my thought kind of ties into some of what Jim specifically mentioned, but the book, I'm a big fan of an author named John Gordon. And I think back in episode 20, I recommended a book of his called The Coffee Bean, which is basically just how it's a positive outlook and how to deal with some of the day-to-day stuff that we deal with. he just wrote a follow-up book called How to Be a Coffee Bean. So it gets into a little more specifics on, what are some of the daily things you need to do to really take on that attitude and make that a habit. And my thought for the week is, and actually I'm sure it's true because it's on the internet, but it's an African proverb that states, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So an organization like, Jim mentioned all the collaboration and the organizations that help. So, we can get some things done quickly, right, if you're out there on your own. But if you really want to make a bigger impact and go far further, I think it does lend itself when we're working together with others, whether it's here at a company, your family, or an organization like Safe Kids Gaston County. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode, and please continue to spread the word if you can about the podcast, and please don't hesitate to contact us here at our email address, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. And according to Naomi, giving us a good 5-star rating helps the podcast get noticed. Thanks again to Jackie and Jim for being our guests today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.